Nice. Hello. Welcome again. So today, what I wanted to talk about just quickly, because my higher mind, shall we say, has been feeding me this information all day, with a feeling of like a bubbly bliss or like passion with it. So I'm going to share it, and what it is today is the stages of awakening. Obviously, I can only take you as far as I've been so far. And again, if it resonates with you, amazing. If you're further than me, switch off. You don't need to listen. But if you're not, then hear me out. Because as the time progresses, there'll be things that I'll be able to show you in order to pull you out of certain stages, or at least the things that I use to get me out of those stages. Anyway, again, I'm rambling. Pretty good at that. I'd call it a talent. So let's start with what I would consider the first stage of my awakening, which was what I would call the seedling stage. Now, I did... it started off essentially with... I started off with a broken heart. Let's just get really honest and really vulnerable. And that pain led me to searching for an answer within myself for how to make this better, or, you know, I'd gone into total victim mode. I was like, oh, why is this happening to me? This life sucks. But it was a real like depression. I was kind of hurting inside, but there was some sort of sense that it was fake. I don't know if that'll resonate, but that's just my experience, that this was kind of, I was faking it. The pain was there and it was real, but it was like not really real. It was real, it was there, but it wasn't a proper depression pain, because I felt that now and I know what that feels like. Anyway, essentially my first stage was looking for an answer to the pain that was already happening inside me. And this is why I call it the seedling stage, because luckily it seems to be that this is the way that it has to work. It was for me anyway. Sadhguru, who does an inner engineering course, planted a seed in me. And for me, a spiritual seed, shall we say. Obviously I had to nurture it and whatnot, but I did his inner engineering course because I was searching for answers. And obviously if you want to grow spiritually, you want to know that you're getting your seed from the right place, shall we say. So I knew that Sadhguru was big spiritual guy. I didn't know anything about yoga, I didn't know anything about spirituality. I just watched a couple of his videos and I was just like, this is what I need right now. Anyway, so I had the spiritual seed planted in me. That was essentially the first stage. It seems to be you need to get it from somebody else, if that makes sense. And for me, luckily enough, I was led through my life and through YouTube to Sadhguru. The next stage, I would say, is, obviously these aren't technical terms, I'm never going to end up as a guru, you can tell, can't you? Nor would I want to be, I don't think. But the next stage for me was, after that seed had been planted, for me it was nurturing that soil and realising that actually I had the power not to control external things, but I could control the way that I was feeling to a slight degree. So I started becoming responsible for that and realising that I didn't actually have to see the pain that I had from my broken heart as a painful thing. I could see it in a different way. I could see it in a more positive light. And once I made that switch in my head and actually did it and saw it in a different way and believed that that way was actually just as viable or valid as the painful way, a huge rush of energy came and I was like, oh my God. I think I was laughing at the time. I was like, oh my God, I really am totally in control of the way I feel. Why am I choosing to feel in pain? So that was me beginning to nurture my seed, shall we say, nurturing the soil so that the seed could grow. And I just became more and more responsible for the way that I was feeling. Obviously, it starts off slow. It's not just like one, bam, yes, I'm perfect. It never works like that. I mean, I suppose it probably can, but it didn't for me. Because it was all new to me. I never knew that this was a way that you could actually live. Anyway, that was my next stage, should we say. So my painful broken heart had culminated in an essence, and I'll go deeper into this if it's necessary at some other point. But essentially, my next experience, my next part of the journey was a peak experience. Really blissful, ecstatic feeling, an energetic shift had happened. I just realised internally that I'd had enough of the mental craziness and the mental sadness, and within I had this yearning for God, this restlessness for God, or whatever you want to call it. So once I'd realised that, I think the thought came, I can't have been put here for this. This meaning the pain that I was experiencing, because I was experiencing a lot of emotional pain, as we all do. And I'd had enough of it, and in that moment an energetic shift happened. A rush of internal wind went all the way up my spine, exploded out the top of my head in complete and utter bliss and ecstasy. And that, I would say, was really the beginning of the real spiritual journey, if that makes sense. Because in that moment, I knew, as an experience within myself, that we're not here for an accident. This is all divinely planned. And also that everything is actually love. And I don't mean love in like the airy fairy way, oh I love you. No, like intelligence is love. Love is intelligence. They are one and the same. The natural intelligence that brought us here is love. And it's that love that actually in the end takes us home again. Again, I'm rambling. So that was my peak experience, and naturally onto the next phase, which I call the winter phase, or the dark night of the soul. Once you've gone up the top of the mountain, you have to come down again. And seemingly, in my experience, the higher the high, and that was, for me, the highest I've ever felt in my life, you come all the way down again to the lows. And really a Kundalini awakening from my experience, it's not that the low is there as a contrast to the high, it's there because once you've had that high, the negative beliefs that you had within yourself that were always there but that you denied or didn't want to look at or were too scared of looking at or had given up, actually come to the surface. That's what the Kundalini does, and it's an amazing opportunity because although you're feeling a lot of pain, a lot of emotional depression inside, once you've done enough work through yoga or whatever your practice is, they come to the surface, these negative definitions or this depression or whatever, which is caused by your negative definitions of life or yourself or... Anyway, when they come up to come out. So they're up there to deal with. So sometimes it feels like after a Kundalini awakening that all of your control's been taken away from you and that your life's in disarray. You lose your friends, you lose your livelihood, you lose your job, you change career, you lose your mental stability, you think you're going crazy, you spend a lot of time in silence inside, which is very disconcerting when you've lived your whole life in the mental realm. Is this making sense? I don't know why I just asked the camera that's not going to answer me back whether this is making sense, but I hope it is. Because I judged myself for years, thinking that I was crazy for talking about these things, but really, I'm not, you know? I'm really not. And I feel so good about what's happened to me now that I want to share. I want everybody to have this experience, because if they have this experience and then the journey afterwards to actually deal with the crap that was basically only there because we've been stupid for being prats all of our lives, if we could all deal with our own crap that we've come in with karmically, wow. I mean, what a world we would create. Again, I'm going off topic. I'm really good at that. Anyway, so that was the dark night of the soul. That was the next stage. That is the hardest stage you will ever go through. That was my experience. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Tears, that knot in your tummy, that horrible, gut-wrenching, depressive feeling that it literally feels like there is no hope for you in this world. But through yoga or breathing exercises or meditation, you can, what they tend to do is bring awareness and clarity to what it is that's causing that depression, that pain within you. And it's usually a definition or a belief that's actually not in accordance with who you really are, which in your essence is an indestructible, loving, joyous being. Anything out of alignment with that will cause you pain, and it will cause you pain on a level that you have never felt before, only so that you deal with it. It's love, really, but it's tough love. Life wants to make you strong. It certainly was that way for me. Anyway, the next stage I like to call the spring stage. That was winter. Now we're moving into spring, where you have to... One thing I would like to say, actually, when you're in the dark night of the soul and it's getting really dark and it's near its darkest, you feel like there's no hope and that there's no way that you can pull yourself out of this. It does genuinely feel that way. And you think about, maybe, is it worth it? Should I maybe end it, if you understand what I mean? And that's natural. It is okay for you to feel however you feel in that moment. That is fine. Even if it feels like there's no hope, you are okay to feel that way. That's the best advice I can give you. And you will come out of it, so long as you don't off yourself. That's a surefire way to make sure you don't come out of it. But then, you know, you'll probably be feeling really good on the other side. So, anyway. You can come out of the dark night of the soul, and you will come out of the dark night of the soul. It just takes time and practice. You need to dedicate yourself to a practice every day, without fail. And I think potentially I will create a practice and put it online so that people know exactly what I did every single day to pull myself out of it. And it works. Ancient technology, yoga, works very effectively. Again, I'm rambling. The next stage for me was the spring stage, where you go and pluck out all the weeds. All of these negative definitions that you have within yourself, you get the opportunity to change them. Which can be difficult, because you've seen them a certain way for all of your life. But some of the yogic practices, the breathing ones especially, will give you the awareness to realise that these definitions aren't working for you anymore, because they create pain within yourself. Let's choose something different. It's really an amazing opportunity. Really, really it is. An opportunity to change all of your limiting beliefs, because actually, truly, a way to see it that's more in alignment with who you truly are is that you are an infinite possibility. You really are an infinite possibility. You don't have to limit yourself with these negative definitions that clearly don't work for you anymore. that was my experience of it, and that's the way that I pulled myself out of the dark night of the soul, by changing the limiting beliefs, weeding them out of myself. And then comes in the stage that I'm at now, once you've changed enough of your limiting beliefs, or maybe not changed all of them, but that when a limiting belief comes up, you have the awareness to see it for exactly what it is. Not you, but just a limiting belief. And then you can change it and work with it, acknowledge it. Thank you for showing me that limiting belief. Is there a better way I could look at this? Is there a better way I could perceive myself? Oh shit, there is. Alright, I'll use that then. And then if you do that more and more and more and more, it will change. Acknowledge it, feel it. You don't need to escape it, because that won't work. That'll just make it worse. Acknowledge it, feel it, and then, when you're ready, you can begin to change it. Again, I think I will go a lot deeper into these specific things and how to do each bit, but this is just, for me at the moment, I want to talk about the stages of awakening, for those of you that are interested in finding out where you are, what's left to do, what happens next. But please trust me, there is hope, because the next stage after spring is summer, my favourite month. And that this is where I'm bringing myself into now. Now that I've got rid of now that I've changed enough of my limiting beliefs, now the love of God. I know it just sounds silly, but it's the only way I can describe it. The love of the universe is coming in. That fire in your belly that you had as a kid, just free, loving, you could do anything, you felt amazing, the impossible was possible, the fire in your belly is there. That's where I have been led, luckily. And if you'll let me, I'd like to lead you there too, because there is hope, and not just hope. Like, hope is a piss take of a word. Like, life is a symphony, an orchestra of absolute joyous momentum and bliss and magic, if you do the work and if you let it. That's enough for me, I think. I've definitely rambled more than I wanted to. As you get to know me, I think you'll realise that I'm an idiot and I will just chat. But hey ho, I hope you gain something. They're the stages as I see them. I'm not all the way through. Now I'm sure there are more stages, there has to be, as spiritual awakening and spiritual life, well, life as a spiritual being anyway, is a progressive and continuous thing. So there'll never be an ending to it, because we're infinite. But right now, that stage for me, the dark stage, has come to some sort of completion. And yeah, I hope you gain something from this. There's more to come from me, especially on my spiritual evolution. But for now, that will do. I love you. I hope this helped. If it didn't, I'm sorry. I'm doing my best. I'm just trying to share my experience. And hope that it offers something to someone. Even if this helps one person, then that's what it needs to do. Thank you for letting me share, and have a really good day. I'm gonna go for a walk now. Bye bye.